You ever watch a movie that you think is based on a true story, but end up finding out it's a complete work of fiction? Well, we're talking about one because we're talking movies. We're talking Emily the Criminal, starring Aubrey Plaza, Theo Rossi, and Bernardo Badili, written and directed by John Patton Ford. Yusuf, are you fucking her? Well, at least one of us is getting something out of this.
I think you picked like the only good quote, and I don't even know if that was great, but I got nothing. That's what she said. We're back. Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of How'd You Like That Movie? And this is not some golden oldie from our first season. We are literally back in real time.
Yeah!
Or actually in delayed time because you're listening to this on a Thursday and we're recording on a Sunday. We're going to be talking about the 2022 film, Emily the Criminal. And as we always do, Scott, take it away.
All right. It's good to be back, since you had to take those mental health days because of Germany's performance.
Hey, whoa. So,
I was going to say,
buddy.
yeah. It's really good to have, every single Argentinian ref be on every single situation in the Portugal game.
It's almost like somebody wants Morocco to play or another lower ranked team to play against Argentina.
It was a tale of two stories. One game had 17 cards flashed. The other one had one.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Listen, I don't want to actually take. Hold on though. On that, I don't want to actually take it. Morocco has played really brilliantly during this World Cup. And yes, outside of the shenanigans during the Portugal game, I'm really happy for them and their fans that they get to keep moving. I think this is the farthest Morocco's ever gotten in a World Cup. So
it's a record-breaking performance. Good on them.
Maybe the German team should go learn something from the Moroccans because clearly we don't know how to play fucking football anymore. So,
so now back to your regularly scheduled program. So in terms of this movie. One, I thought the performances were great in this film. That each person, no one dropped the ball. I thought in terms of casting and what was presented, they did great. Even Craigslist Steve, who was creepy as fuck when he showed up. He had his role. I'm pretty sure they probably just found some guy off the street and you're it.
Yes.
Right? You're it. But I enjoyed the film. And this film, in terms of Independent Spirit Awards, are really blowing up. Every category they have a nod. They have a nod for
go ahead.
Yeah, they have a nod for best lead. They have a nod for best supporting. They have the nod for the best screenplay.
First screenplay.
First screenplay, correct. And best first feature.
Which isn't bad. And they got a nod at the Gotham Awards for lead performance. They didn't win, but I expect something to come out of the Independent Spirit Awards. I'm going to guess best lead is probably... But I think she's actually going up against Cate Blanchett for Tar. So it's going to be tough.
And that's for which category or which?
For that will be for the Indie Spirit Awards. Okay. Again, I'd have to look at the category or who's in for best first feature. So as a first feature, I think it's fine. I think that this film definitely is not a great film to watch overall. And we'll get into that. So were you excited to watch this film going into it? What was your knowledge of Emily the Criminal going in?
Yeah, I've seen it over social media, and it was popping up on, I guess, my related to or what I've searched to nod. So it was going to be a film that I was going to watch for sure this year, especially for our year-end awards, right, to see what we thought was the best films being released. So this was on my list to watch. I enjoyed it, right? Like it wasn't anything that was what's the word? Like,
Like
like
groundbreaking or,
yeah,
didn't really shake
but
you to your core in any fashion.
yeah, like and that's the thing. Like at one point I did after the film like check, be like, is this based on a true story? Like, because it does seem like it was very grounded into reality. So I could see this being like what's the one that came out on Amazon Prime, like Sugar, the one
Yeah,
about
yeah,
the two Canadian influencers who ended up being like fucking cocaine smugglers, right?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, like I could see this in terms of that.
Or at least like heavily based on like realistic subject matter or something like that.
Yeah, and which who knows, it could have been, and they just don't want to, that could have been how he financed this film. Who knows? But
So he did. So it's written and directed by John Patton Ford. Really, the only work he's done before this is his short film Patrol, which you can actually see on YouTube if you just Google it. It's good. He did it when he was at the American Film Institute. I believe it went to Sundance as well. And so I had read some interviews with him, and so he was like, "Okay, great. Like he's got a short film. He's gone to Sundance. Now things are gonna fucking pop off." This is 2010, right? Like he's gonna be this hot director. Nothing. Like he did have a bunch of stuff that was like close. Like he was almost like he was just finishing pre-production and financing was falling through and stuff. And so he was just like sort of like, to be honest, sort of like me, like still just grinding it out and grinding out. And he wrote Emily the Criminal just kind of like over a period of time. And it it was like that's why it's so much later in his career. And to your point, he took some of the subject matter from the fact that he like lives in Los Angeles and that type of stuff. So but I do want to actually talk about some of this stuff. So
okay,
That's why I'm here.
first off, the
wait, are you doing like spoilers for the, like, if you're doing
no,
spoilers
I'm still
you
not
gotta,
gonna like really spoil stuff. I mean, we can talk about some overarching narratives that exist in this film. So
Mhm.
first off, listen, I don't live in Los Angeles. I don't know, but I do know that in the film world, typically our main baddie or criminal enterpriser, we tend to try to not to do the cliche brown immigrant guy who's running the fucking scam. Well, we do try and maybe like get away from that. It can be a bit unless again it's a true story, but even then you can change that up. So I found that I was like, oh really? Oh, we're doing that narrative. The possible like jacking by the black guys. Also, I was like, I mean, yes, I know you're gonna say, but there was a white guy who did some robbing, and I'm like, sure. It just felt like the stuff that had like a whole lot of narrative built around it was a bit 20 like 2000. Like we try to not just pigeonhole people of color into like being criminals. But again, I'm not from Los Angeles. If you're from LA, maybe you're watching, you're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, that's how things go down. The other thing I had a bit of an issue with is I'm watching this thing. I'm like, this is written by a dude. This is clearly written by a dude, and it was because it was written by the director. And John, you can just so you know, you can write a strong female protagonist that doesn't have to have a fucking like love story built into it or a sex story built into it. You can just
well, okay, I'm gonna
go.
I'm gonna interject there because I don't think there was
You don't
a
think there
love
was
story.
what?
A love story there.
Well, there was definitely a relationship sex story.
Yeah, but I think that was, in my opinion, in terms of the narrative, that was just her, getting to the next level, like building trust. Because if you look at it,
he's showing up
no,
to fucking parties and stuff. Get the fuck
she
out of here.
invited
I
him.
hear what
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
saying, like using
But
her body as a tool to climb some type of ladder.
yeah, but look, after every time they fucked, right, there was only two scenes that it was like the after effect. She literally, it shows her rolling over, and it's like pretty much eyes of disgust that he's still in the fucking bed. Like, ah, fuck. Okay, now I got to deal with this shit in the morning.
But I took it more as like, because remember, so definitely there's one, she has a job interview, right? So like to her, she's still trying to like, I don't think the sex is part of like getting higher up in that criminal organization. I think it's just more like sex happened, but I also have life happening, and I'm trying to do that. And does that actually happen? Sure. But I think Audrey Plaza plays a great role. She's, for the most part, supposed to be like a regular person put into like kind of extraordinary circumstance, sort of like a John McClane. She like I don't have super skills or anything like that. I think that story is stronger without the like, oh, and look, oh, I'm gonna
but I don't
fall
think
in love
she
with
did. Because even at the end, when that like there was no tears shed, it was just like, fuck, now I'm grabbing this money and going.
Again, I think, yeah, so that is done to try and show a certain amount of realism. It's not her like long-term partner. It's not a Bonnie and Clyde kind of situation. But I would have just taken away that whole, like, even the fact that there's even ambiguity, the fact that like two of us can watch a film and see like different divergence on an issue like that. Again, in 2023, this idea of a male writer writing a female protagonist and sticking in a fucking shitty, whether it's a love interest or sex interest, just take it out.
Go on, get.
Because it doesn't do enough to move the story forward to risk the ambiguity that exists, like just even in our conversation right now. That's my opinion on the matter. So
yeah, like in terms of
all right, and so that was a great show. No, go ahead, Scott.
I was gonna say, in terms of like dialogue written, I did like the interaction between her and Gina Gershon, which
yes,
that
like, was fucking dope.
Like to me, that I was thinking, like, knowing that he's the one that wrote it, it was probably like an interaction he had with probably trying to get on to a set or a job, and they're like, yeah, we'll get you on, right? But now you're an intern, and he's like, am I getting paid, right? thing. And it's just like,
yeah, intern usually it's like, usually when I hear intern, it means I'm not getting any money.
You do realize this is a very competitive position.
Yeah, sure, I understand that. What I don't understand is how you feel so comfortable asking someone to work without pay.
So it's interesting. So is it Gershwin or Gerwin? I never know how to say her last name. Scott?
I said Gina Gershon, so I said,
sure, okay.
I said
Gina.
neither one of your scenarios.
The reason Gina's even in the movie is because Audrey Plaza is a producer, because that's like John Ford doesn't have those connections, but Audrey does, right? So she was like, hey, you want to come be in this cool movie? And I thought I love that interaction, because you can see the power dynamic shifting. Like, so Audrey is the character is like, she's very, very much interested in that job, and she's going along. And then she gets that kind of like, are you fucking serious? And just, she responds how we all hope we would be able to respond. You know what I mean? Because it was bullshit. It was, and like that whole like, wow, this is a competitive job. It's just like, fuck you. Like, fuck you.
Hey, so if you want to tell me what to do, put me on the fucking payroll. How about that?
Yeah, how about that?
So there's kind of 3 points in that film that hit on like a zeitgeist. And like, for those that don't know, the rough definition of a zeitgeist is like something current, something happening that's very relevant, right? So there is the idea of the unpaid intern. There is the, oh, you don't work for us, you're a gig worker, henceforth you're a subcontractor. And
the independent contractor.
Yeah, and especially, yeah, you have no rights, basically. Go talk to your union steward. All right, fuck you, you don't have one. I guess 4, because I mean, they kind of loosely touch about unions as well. The idea, especially in the United States, the like bazillion dollars in fucking student loans that people have, and just like how she pays her student, and they're like, what do you mean? It didn't go against the principal. And they're like, oh, that's just your interest payment of $400 a month or whatever. So they hit those kind of points, and that is why this film actually got a lot of traction in the media. I mean, and it's Audrey Plaza, and I think she's becoming such, like, I've always liked her. She's always a bit zany, but she's gotten older, and she's actually become a very seasoned actor, and I love it. I think she does great work. I watched her film Black Bear, which is a bit out there, very interesting, very well shot. But it's, again, you're starting to see her move and become more of a leading lady, but like an offbeat leading lady, which is great. But on the topic of zeitgeist and kind of like why this film got traction. So my quote this week, I didn't have one at the top of the show, but so Kyle Smith from the Wall Street Journal said, file Emily the criminal in the category under bad films that earn credit for reflecting the zeitgeist. And I mean, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's kind of like, meh, it's fine. It's lukewarm. I wouldn't really recommend it to someone unless they're like, I rented mine so we could do it for the show. just wait for this fucking thing to come out because you may or may not want to finish it.
It showed up on Netflix 3 days later.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Of course it did. And then we delayed our show. So if it hadn't had those 3 or 4 zeitgeisty kind of principles, it would have just been, I mean, it might have got a bit of hype because Audrey Platt is in it and she's a producer, but it probably would have died a bit of a stillborn death. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't have gone anywhere. So any traction it's getting in on the video on demand and stuff is because of those comments on.
Well,
go ahead.
I was gonna say like I'm going to respectfully disagree.
Listen, if you're not going to agree with me, why are we even doing a show together?
Yeah, I know. Like I kind of feel like sometimes I'm Audrey Plaza and you're Gina Gershon. Like when you brought this whole thing together, like, yeah, you're just gonna be here. You're gonna say like 4 things, and I'm taking over. Be like, but I'm a host. Like your name's there, but it's not like
you're not a real host. You're just like so that people don't think it's a. No, our intern is Tyler,
and technically Rod.
Yeah. We actually, half this show is run by interns, so be good to your interns, or your show won't happen. So.
But
and make sure you break their union.
Yeah, like right now, the show, I believe in the States, is trending number 2 in Netflix as the most watched movie. And this, what this film kind of reminded me of, and I know you're going to disagree with me, is this is the kind of movie kind of like old school Boondock Saints, where you miss it in theaters, but it starts to gain traction in like. So back in our day,
developing like a cult following, like, or are you not elevating it quite to cult size?
It won't. I don't think it'll be cult, but I think it will be one of those ones that people, and it is what's happening right now. Like people are catching it, like on a whim on Netflix, like especially now with Netflix, like they're catching it on Netflix and watching it, and enough people are watching it that they're enjoying it. And I do think that's going to help in terms of word of mouth and stuff like that. Now, I think it will project this John Patton forward. But my only criticism of this is like, I don't know why, but like, you don't need 3 names, man. That just reminds me of serial killers. It's like, you can just be John Ford, man. Just be John Ford or Patton Ford if you want. It doesn't matter. But I think it's going to get him more work. And I think her production company, it gives credence to it, because I think this is their first feature, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Yeah.
But they do have a animated show that's on FX that she's producing as well, that Little Demon or whatever it is.
Oh, okay.
But I think it helps in terms of that. Like this could be the start of her own plan B, right?
Well, I mean, it had a $2 million budget, and actually, I think they did very well with $2 million. Like, all they were shooting in Los Angeles. I think they had some shooting days in Mexico as well. So from a producer standpoint, they did a great job with their small budget, which I think is one of the reasons you have that best first feature at the Indie Experience Awards nod, and it could win. Like I said, I'd have to see who else is in that classification. But you're right, like those bona fides. So like I said, budget of $2 million, box office $2 million. I didn't feel like there was a ton of advertising. So with video on demand, they're probably at least going to break even. They might even make a little bit of De Niro. But it got lots of conversation. Like it's got a 94% from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes and a 79% from the audience. Not bad. Definitely not bad numbers at all. As a producer, those are some solid, and as a director, those are good bona fides. You could do a lot worse. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's no unsolicited, but come on.
I mean, the unsolicited just fucking took all the awards, to the point that the writer, director, producer stood on the stage like he had won some type of battle royal in Winnipeg.
This guy fucks, am I right? Because I'm looking at the rest of you guys. This is the guy in the house doing all the fucking, am I right? You know I'm right. This guy fucks.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was fine. It was fine. The DOP, Jeff Bierman, he mostly does music videos and shorts, which I think is always great. The idea that you can just kind of keep a little bit of working. I know a lot of DOPs, the DOP, for example, Fong, who's going to be working on my next film with me. He's mostly like works in commercial. And so that keeps the bread and butter coming in. But because of that, he's able to give me like a screaming deal on camera equipment and his time, because he's got like the job that pays the big money. And then sort of like I have a regular job that pays regular money. And then I can then use that and my executive producer, Nuno Ferreira, to make my next film. And so seeing people come out of shorts, seeing people coming out of commercials, it's good. You don't actually have to work in the like film, like the big film industry, to still be in the film industry.
I know. I don't
like,
even
look at you,
get
Scott.
paid.
You sell insurance, and you're like you've been in 2 movies, so
I know, and I haven't gotten paid either one. And then I
you actually paid. You paid money. You paid your own money to be in a movie. So
for to help you out. I know.
Yeah,
That's the thing. Like
I paid money to be in that movie too, though. So.
And then I see like posts from some random fucker just saying, "Hey, I'm doing another movie, and it's $200 a day." At no point, it's like, "Fuck, Scott, like you've helped me out twice. I'm just gonna give you this one role so you can have $200 a day."
Do you typically play 45 to 55? Do you play a 50-year-old
I
man?
can whiten this beer a little bit more. I can whiten it.
Hey man, if you not to turn this into a casting session, but listen, if you want to audition, I will send you the sides. You're more than welcome to audition. I will totally let you audition. I will send it to you. But back to the film. That
I just want the 200 a day.
You just want the money.
I just want the money.
Do you actually? I mean, I know we're back. People are probably expecting like that deep cut, but I mean, there's not a lot to deep cut on this film.
No, it is. It's not a. I'm not going to say it's a paint by numbers, but it is.
Yeah, it's definitely your standard 3-act structure. Like, there's no big twists or turns, in my opinion. Like, you kind of know roughly she's going to get into some illegal shit right from the trailer, right? Like, that's kind of Emily the criminal. Oh, I guess they talked about that. Sorry, because she has kind of like a really minor criminal record, how that's affecting her ability to get jobs. So I guess that would be the 4th or maybe 5th zeitgeisty type of thing. Like some things that you do, you're just 18, you have a little shoplifting or a little assault or something, and now you can't get a fucking job that has health benefits in the US. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, like that was another interesting like interview thing she had, in which they said, "Oh, like, you know, we don't do background checks, but do you have anything?" And she was kind of forward, like, "I did have this." They're like, "Oh no, we did do a background check and we know it's this." Like, why the fuck did you like try to trick me?
We want to see if you're honest. It's like, fuck you, man. Nobody wants to bring that shit up.
Yeah. But yeah, like I enjoyed it. Like it does leave room if they ever did want to make a sequel. Right, like they technically could.
So that ending. So I almost felt like, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but you know what I'm talking about. It almost feels like there was 2 endings. There's the ending that should have happened, and then there's the ending that happens at the end. And I'm like, that ending at the end, I would have gotten rid of. And again, I feel like you're exactly right. They're like, look, I'm not suggesting I'm going to make a sequel, but if I did, this is how I do it. You know what I mean?
It was like the, Peter Jackson Return of the King, like where it had 7 endings. This one only had 2. It's just the case.
I mean, were you happy with the running time? It was like 90 minutes. That's kind of
it was fine. Like
you can't go any longer with this film. I don't think you can expand it any further.
No, you could have made it like Heat. This could have been like fucking Heat style credit card fraud. But
there's so many machine guns in a credit card fraud. You know what I mean?
You never know, man. Fucking Al Pacino be like, "They're in front of us. They got us. Whatever."
Hey, speaking of that, hold on. So speaking of that, when she engages in the car situation, why did she stop? I'm like, what are you doing? Like, fucking get out of there and keep driving. So there was also some like little hiccups in the film. I'm like, yeah, you're just doing that because you're like, I don't know how to fucking. I need to create conflict, and so I need to make the character do something that no fucking sane regular person would do. Also,
which car scenario are you talking about?
The BMW.
There's 2.
Well, the BMW one.
Okay.
Where it's like drive out of the lot and then stop.
And then just stop right when you turn.
Yeah. That, and when they like go to do the big raid and it's like all you've got is a stun gun. I'm like, are you fucking? It's again. I love when American movies. The United States has like more guns than any country in the history of fucking mankind. And in movies when people can't seem to find a fucking firearm. I'm like, really? Like, you're not in Japan. Like, you're not in a country that's hard to get guns. It's the US. Like, you could probably open your window and be like, I need a gun. And someone throws you a gun.
See a lot of gun violence in your world?
Actually, that's a big problem, Guy. It's a massive problem.
I didn't see that coming.
No, I thought the movie's fine. I do recommend it. I do think people should watch it because it is entertaining for the 90 minutes, right? And especially like it's an original film, right? Like it's not a remake of something. It's not a sequel
It's not Marvel,
of something.
It's not, IP.
Yeah,
really.
like just get like, you know, spend 90 minutes and watch an original movie, right? Where you don't really know, like you get to go on the journey with people. You don't really know ahead of time what's going to happen, right? Because this could be the start of Emily the Godmother, right? Like she can all of a sudden end up in the Corleone family.
And like part 3, it'll fucking suck. You know what I mean?
She goes up against the Catholic Church. She's like, fuck it, let's do this.
I really like Audrey. It's kind of the last time you see like the truly insane Audrey Plaza that you kind of know from like Parks and Rec and stuff like that. Ingrid Goes West. That is a film I definitely recommend about kind of like Instagram and influencing and like wanting to be in someone's social circle and how you're willing to do whatever it takes to be it. That's a fucking intense movie, man. Definitely watch that one. I would suggest watching Black Bear for the cinematography. I really am not 100% sure what the fucking point of the movie was. And this one, sure. I mean, it's on Netflix. Go watch it if you want, or don't. Like, it's fine.
But I would also recommend it if you're looking at her, like if you want to spend an Aubrey Plaza weekend. What's the one with Little Hours, right?
Yes.
Where they're
nuns. Shit! I totally forgot about it. With the nuns? Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely watch that one. And fuck it, you know what? You might as well go like all weekend, hang out in a plaza all weekend. Child's Play, the remake, 2019. I don't even know if it's good, but she's in it. So
don't watch that one.
Oh, don't watch that one. Okay. Whatever. Okay, so we recommended 3. Scott's recommended 4. We've mentioned 5. Actually, you know, if you like kind of like raw stuff, she's great in Dirty Grandpa, and I know people that love Dirty Grandpa. She actually, on the topic of Dirty Grandpa, so here she is working with Robert De Niro, and she was so intense and in character, it freaked out De Niro. Like Taxi Driver, Travis Bickle, De Niro. Like he was like, what is up with this lady? You know what I mean? So you know, again, I'm gonna give her fucking kudos just for fucking freaking out De Niro.
What are you, half Cuban or something?
Actually, I am, Professor.
The bottom half.
And that is our wrap for the day. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends. If you want to get a hold of us, reach us at the www.howdyoulikethatmovie.com.
If I knew that was going to be the ending, my inflection would have been in a different spot. It wouldn't have been like, I'll give it up to De Niro. It would have been like, and I give it up to De Niro or whatever. Scott, you just stop talking.
What happened the last actually live episode? You just kept on going. I'm like, man, I'm like, you're about to go through her whole filmography and fucking Chris Pratt. Let's give it up to Chris Pratt because he was in something with her. I'm like,
Audrey Plaza at her Christmas concert in grade 6, blowing it away.
Oh, well, Dave Franco. I don't even know if they went to school together, but fuck, sounds like they would have.
Production by Rod Shaver, Vader Monkey Productions.